Hello everyone, this is Shubhadeep and welcome you to the WBCS exam coaching. Today's subject is biology. So before we should start discussing the chapters, we must divide the whole subject in some of the important chapters. Like the chapter number 1 that should include the diversity of living organisms, structural organization in plant and animals, cell structure and their function, while on the other hand the chapter 2 will include the genetics, biotechnology and its application, and the ecology and environment, while the chapter 3 will includes the plant physiology and the chapter 4 will includes the human physiology, and the last one but not the least that includes the human reproduction, biology and human welfare. Now our first chapter is the diversity of living organisms, structural organization in plants and animals, and cell structure and function. We will start with the first chapter. Before we should start the diversity of living organism, we have to know that how many things are there in an environment. In a broad sense, the things which are available in environments are of three types: living things, non-living things and the dead things. So how we will get to know that which one is the living things and which one is the non-living or dead things? So definitely the living things should possess some characteristics. What they are? They must have a growth and development, they must have the protoplasm, they have a particular cellular organization, they have a specific nutrition, metabolism, movement and locomotion, reproduction, and different factors are there. So you can pause the video over here and take a screenshot of these characteristics. Let's start about the concept of classification. Now why the classification is important? Because after getting the information of the living things, there are different type of living things available in the environment. So we have to classify them before entering into the study of individual. And how to classify them? To do so, we have different type of epithets. On the basis of those epithets, we have to classify an organism. Such epithets are like kingdom, division or phylum, class, order, family, genus and species. For an instance, in case of the human, we have a kingdom like Animalia, phylum like Chordata, the class like Mammalia, the order is primates, the family is Hominidae, the genus is Homo and the species name is Sapiens. That is why the biological or the scientific name of the human is Homo sapiens, and such type of scientific name is also known as binomial name. Why it is binomial name? Because it has two different epithets. The first one is the generic epithets and the second one is the specific epithets. Now on your screen there are different name of botanical gardens as well as zoological parks along with their respective address. These names are very important. You have to remember all of them if it is possible. So in that case, you can pause the video again over here and take a screenshot. Okay. Now the most important thing is about the 5 kingdom classification. We just get to know that what is classification. That means we know that there are different types of organisms and on the basis of different epithets we have to classify them. Such epithets are like kingdom, division or phylum, class and so on. Already on the previous slide you have get to know about those things. Now in this current slide we will get to know about a specific type of classification which is known as 5 kingdom classification, and this classification was proposed by Whittaker, R.H. Whittaker, and according to him there are basically 5 type of kingdoms, starting from the Monera, then Protist or Protista, then plants, animals and fungi. So on the right hand side the organisms can be divided into 2 groups. The primitive one or the most simplest one is the prokaryotic and the complex one is the eukaryotic. All the prokaryotic will be known as the Monera, while in case of the unicellular eukaryotic cell will be known as Protista, and the multicellular organisms, those who have a cell wall will be considered as plantae or fungi, and those who doesn't have a cell wall will be known as a Animalia. So this is the basic concept of five kingdom classification. Now from this topic we have some the important things to know. What they are, like what is the gram positive bacteria and what is the gram negative bacteria, what is the difference in between them, some of the important bacteria and viruses, like which one is the harmful and which one is the beneficial, different life cycle patterns specifically for all the five kingdoms including Monera, Protista, Plantae, Animalia and fungi, and the plant kingdom and animal kingdom. Obviously, because of the short period of time, it is not possible to include all of those things right here in this video. So you have to go through those things from the NCERT book, and if you have any kind of doubt, in that case let me know. Okay, now our next topic is the cell structure and the function. Right now on your screen there are a comparative study of figure A and the figure B. The figure A, that is the animal cell, while the figure B is a plant cell. So you can pause the video over there and take a screenshot to know each and every point of a animal cell as well as a plant cell. Now coming to another topic. This is known as the cell theory. So in the year of 1938, Sladen proposed a theory which is known as the cell theory, and according to this theory, all the living things are composed of cells. The cells are the basic unit of structure and the function of any living things, and definitely the new cells are produced from the existing cells. Now we will describe about the structure of a cell. Right now on your screen there is a structure of plant cell and an animal cell, but this time the plant cell is on the left side and the animal cell is on the right side. So some of the characteristic features are like that. In case of the plant cells, the vacuoles are generally large in size. In case of the plant cells, they have the chloroplast, but in case of the animal cells, they do not have the chloroplast, and so on. So you have to prepare a difference between the prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells. Right now on your screen there is a comparative study of prokaryotes and eukaryotes. There is a Venn diagram showing the left one is as a eukaryote and the right one as a prokaryote, and the intermediate portion, that is the common features of eukaryotes as well as the prokaryotes. Now the same as this, there is another difference between the plant cell and the animal cell. So again there is a Venn diagram showing right now on your screen. The left one is the plant cell and the right one is the animal cell, and the shared portion or in between these two circles, those are the common features of both the animal cell and the plant cell. Now our next topic is the cellular structure. So starting from the cell wall is composed of cellulose, hemicellulose, pectin. Some of the time they may have the deposition of lignin and suberin. And what is the function of the cell wall? It helps in maintaining the size and shape of a particular cell. Now coming to the next point, that is the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. So the Sangers and Nicholson proposed a model which is known as the fluid mosaic model, and that is the most accepted model of the cell membrane. And according to them, the cell membrane or the plasma membrane is composed of phospholipids and the proteins. Proteins are generally of two types, peripheral proteins and the integral protein. So what is the function of the plasma membrane or the cell membrane? It helps in the absorption of different components, secretion of different type of enzymes or different type of components. It helps in the ion exchange because they have different type of channels. They have the protein channels, ionic channels, and they provides the particular type of shapes. They also help in the cellular movements. Now coming to the inner portion of a cell, that is the cytoplasm, which is also considered as a matrix. So the cytoplasm are of two types, hyaloplasm and the trophoplasm. In case of the hyaloplasm, that is made up of non-living materials, while on the other hand the trophoplasm is made up of cell organelles. So what are the cell organelles? Those are like mitochondria, plastids, Golgi bodies, lysosome, ribosomes, centrioles, endoplasmic reticulum, microbodies, microtubules, cilia, flagella, and so on. Right now on your screen there is a figure of mitochondria. Mitochondria is also considered as a powerhouse of a cell. It was discovered by Kolliker and the name was coined by Benda. It has a ATP synthetase enzyme in their F1 particle, and it helps in the oxidative phosphorylation that produces the energy for the cell. It is also known as a semi-autonomous organelle. Why? Because they have their own DNA and they are not dependent on the cellular chromosomes for their replication. That is why they are considered as the semi-autonomous organelle. Right now on your screen there is another organelle which is known as plastid. It is discovered by the Ernest Haeckel and generally found in the Protista and Plantae. The plastids are of three types: chromoplast, chloroplast and leucoplast. Chromoplast are such type of plastids that contains different type of colors. Chloroplast that contains the chlorophylls, and leucoplast that means it devoid of the above mentioned two. It is also considered as the semi-autonomous organelles as the mitochondria because they have their own DNA and they are not dependent on the cellular chromosomes. Now on your screen there is another organelle which is known as the lysosome. It is reported by the D. Duvet and mainly found in the secretory glands of animals. Definitely it is present in the animals only, but some of the cases some fungi may have such kind of lysosomes. They contains different type of enzymes like phosphatase, sulfatase, protease and so on. Now on your screen there is a figure that shows the nucleus. It was discovered by Robert Brown. Nucleus is present in all the cells except the mature red blood corpuscle or the RBC. So what are the different parts of a nucleus? It includes the nuclear membrane, the outermost one, then the nuclear sap that acts as a matrix upon which the nuclear reticulums are generally suspended over, and the last one, that is the dense part of a nucleus, that is known as the nucleolus. Not only that, but also there are different type of chromatin fibers. As I have mentioned that there is a structure known as nuclear reticulum. So these nuclear reticulums are of two types. If it is lightly colored with the stain, it will be known as euchromatin, and if it is heavily stained, it will be known as the heterochromatin. Now on your screen there is another organelle which is known as centriole. It is discovered by Van Beneden and found in all the cells except RBC. It is generally formed during the G2 phase of cell cycle and it helps in the cell division. Another organelle is the cytoskeleton. On the left hand side of your screen there is a structure of cytoskeleton that includes different components of a cytoskeleton such as microfilament, microtubules, intermediate filaments. It helps in the cyclosis and cellular movements such as pseudopodial movements, and it controls the contraction and the relaxation of different components such as muscles. Now coming to our next topic, that is the biomolecules. In general, the biomolecules are of four types, starting from the carbohydrate, then the protein, lipid and the nucleic acid. So on the right hand side of your screen there are four types of biomolecules. So from this topic you have some important things to know, such as the example of monosaccharide, oligosaccharide and polysaccharides, different type of functional and structural polysaccharides. Then what is zwitterion, which is also known as amino acids because of having the positive and the negative charges at two different pole. Essential, different type of essential amino acids. Generally we have 22 essential amino acids. Aromatic amino acids, basic amino acids, sulfur containing amino acids, acidic amino acids and different order of protein structures like primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure and quaternary structure. So you have to go through all of those things. If you have any kind of doubt, in that case you can ask me. Now coming to the another point, that is the nucleic acid. I am mentioning the nucleic acid only because this is the most important one. So in case of the nucleic acid, it is composed of nucleoside as well as nucleotides. So what is the nucleoside? Nucleoside is a pentose sugar along with a base will be known as a nucleoside. While there is a phosphate group that binds to the nucleoside will be considered as a nucleotide. If there is 2-phosphate group, it will be known as a nucleoside diphosphate, and if there is a 3-phosphate groups, then it will be known as a nucleoside triphosphate, such as adenosine triphosphate. Now on your screen, there is a figure that shows the comparative view of RNA and the DNA. The left hand side, there is a single strand that is known as the RNA or ribonucleic acid, while on the right hand side, that is the deoxyribonucleic acid having the double stranded structure. Definitely the RNA can be double stranded and even the DNA can be single stranded, but those are the exceptions. So the main component of the DNA is different type of nucleobases such as cytosine, guanine, adenine and thymine, and those are known as CGAT respectively. While on the other hand, in case of the RNA, they have the cytosine, guanine, adenine, and instead of thymine, they have the uracil. So the letters are like CGAU respectively. Now our topic is enzyme. So what is enzyme? Enzyme is a proteinaceous structure that catalyze different type of reactions in our biological system. So enzymes are generally of two types, exoenzyme and endoenzymes. Some of the exoenzymes are like pectinase, amylase, proteases because they generally produced outside the cell. While on the other hand, the endoenzymes are such kind of enzymes, those are present within our cell. Those are like endoamylases, polymerase, primase, etc. Now, structurally the enzymes are composed of different components. The protein part of the enzyme is known as apoenzyme. The non-protein part is known as cofactor. If a cofactor is inorganic in nature, it will be known as a prosthetic group, such as calcium ion, magnesium ions. While on the other hand, if the cofactor is organic in nature, it will be known as the coenzyme, such as FAD, NADP, etc. Generally, the prosthetic groups are tightly attached with the apoenzyme part, while on the other hand, the coenzymes are loosely attached to the apoenzyme part. And the enzyme along with the prosthetic group or the cofactor is known as the holoenzyme. Now coming to our next point, that is the mode of action of an enzyme. Generally, there are two types of actions for an enzyme. The first one is the lock and key theory proposed by the Fischer, and the second one is the induced fit theory proposed by Koshland. Right now on your screen there is an animation that shows the mode of action of an enzyme. Now coming to our next topic, that is the inhibition of enzyme action. So the inhibition of enzymes are generally of three types: non-competitive inhibition, competitive inhibition and end product inhibition. In case of the non-competitive inhibition, there is a inhibitor binding site, and if there is an inhibitor, then the structure of the active site will be different and the substrate cannot bind to the enzyme. While on the other hand, in case of the competitive inhibition, the inhibitors are more or less similar to the substrate structurally, so that they can mimic the substrate and bind to the enzyme itself. That is why there is no product and the complete procedure will be inhibited. And the third one, that is the end product inhibition. In this case, the product, that means the end product, will act as an inhibitor, and that will bind to the allosteric site of an enzyme and change the active site of an enzyme, so that the substrate cannot bind on that site and cannot produce more products. Now coming to our next topic, that is the cell cycle and the cell division. So the cell cycle are broadly in two types: the interphase and the mitotic division phase. While on the other hand, the cell divisions are generally or broadly can be divided into two types: the karyokinesis and the cytokinesis. Karyokinesis means the division of nuclear materials, while the cytokinesis means the division of the cytoplasmic material. In case of the interphase, there is no such division. Basically, during this interphase period, the cell will produce enough proteins and enzymes for the mitotic division, and at the time of mitotic division, actually the division happens, which can be visible in our microscopic vision. And the mitotic division is comprised of four phases, such as prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase. Now some of the important topics from these chapters are like reductional division or the meiosis, crossing over, the differences between the mitosis and meiosis, and the formation of cancer cells. Hopefully you have get enough from all of those chapters. Rest will be on another episode. If you have any doubt from the above mentioned chapters, in that case you can ask me or let me know. Till then, have a nice day. Goodbye.